Welcome to Business Insight Fredericton. I'm Krista Ross, CEO at the Fredericton Chamber of Commerce. Today, I'm speaking to Parissa and Judah Bunin, naturopathic doctors at the Fredericton Naturopathic Clinic. Tell me about your business. How would you define it in just a couple of sentences?
It's a naturopathic clinic, and we've been providing natural, individualized sort of healthcare, complementary healthcare for our patients, people in the community, sort of within Fredericton and also surrounding areas. So if you feel any tingling and it's like buzzing, you let me know. I need to reduce the intensity a little bit.
So because there are many different types of medical practitioners, I'd be interested in hearing how do you compare or contrast between a medical doctor and a doctor of naturopathic medicine?
I'd say the education in many ways is very similar. You talked about the number of years that we have to study, 7 or 8 years minimum, post-secondary. There are board exams involved. We learn the similar basic sciences, so pathology and physiology and all of those things you need to understand how the body works and the disease processes. I think the differences are both, there's some philosophical differences. We're a bit more, I would say, holistic minded. We look at the mind, body, spirit, the emotional state as well, and we try to really treat that whole person as an individual and develop individual treatment plans. We focus on the root causes of disease and illness, so not just treating symptoms, but really understanding those root causes. So our visits tend to be quite a bit longer, but also in terms of treatments, right? We're not trained, nor do we wish to dispense pharmaceuticals. It's not what we do. So prescription drugs are not something that we focus on, but we're using more natural approaches.
Even though we don't focus on drugs and pharmaceuticals, we have to understand how they work so that what we recommend isn't going to be counter or interfere. We really believe in working hand in hand with the medical system and the medical doctors, and to do that, we're not going to be asking patients to stop anything or stop medications or stop therapies or so on and so forth.
And how long have you been in business and how did you get started?
Parissa and I both graduated in 2001, and we started working in other clinics, first with other doctors, and she worked at an acupuncturist clinic, and I worked with the only naturopathic doctor in town at the time, Dr. Carolyn Galvin. And but for a couple of years, we just kind of learned the ropes of being doctors, and then we decided when she wanted to sell her clinic that we would purchase it, and that's when we kind of started it as the Fredericton Naturopathic Clinic, and that was 2003. So should I check your blood pressure first?
Yeah. So what kind of an educational background do you need to have a naturopathic clinic?
Ideally, you would have an undergrad with basically the same prerequisites that you would need to get into medical school. So the sciences, so let's say biology and psychology, English, and that sort of thing. In addition to that, you would also need a postgraduate degree, which would be the naturopathic program that you would do. And right now, there are only, about 5 accredited schools in North America. And during that program, so with the 4-year program, naturopathic program that we have, we were in, after your second year, you have to write licensing exams, and then after your 4th year, you write board exams again to be fully licensed as naturopathic doctors.
So here in your clinic, what types of services do you offer to your clients?
Basically, any health concerns. And then what we would provide would be natural therapies. So we would use herbal medicine, acupuncture, physical modalities. I've been doing IV therapy for the past few years, and also testing. So we have some ways to do hormone testing and other kinds of testing where people, have been looking to just get answers to some of the issues, the health issues they might have.
But I haven't had a B12 only for a few months.
We work with everybody from people that are healthy and want to just prevent disease to people that are, in some cases, have tried everything else and we're literally like the last resort. I work a lot with cancer patients, and unfortunately, we see people that there's nothing else that can be done, and so then they come and they see us at that stage. So it's really broad. I don't think it can be any more broad than the range of patients that we see.
Pretty good.
All set.
Tell me about how your services are covered. Now, I know some of our viewers might be interested in if Medicare covers it, if their health plan covers it, or how does it get paid for?
Most people have private health care insurance, at least most of our patients do, and most of those plans will cover our services. There's an annual maximum and a certain percentage per visit. similar to if you were to see a massage therapist or an acupuncturist or a chiropractor. And then some people don't have coverage and they're willing to pay for things out of pocket.
Are there any myths about naturopathic medicine that you'd like to dispel? Today's the chance.
A lot of times we'll hear people say things like, are you taking a scientific approach or are you going to see a naturopathic doctor? As if conventional medicine is scientific and kind of everything's very well researched, whereas naturopathic medicine isn't. And that's simply not true. Like, it really depends on individual practitioners in terms of whether you want to practice an evidence-based approach or not. We pride ourselves on being what we call an evidence-based practice. So we try to stay up to date with research. We obviously pay attention to the results that we have in practice, which is another part of being an evidence-based practitioner, and paying attention to what our patients want as well.
So here's an interesting question. Tell me what it's like working together as a couple.
It actually works out really well. I think one of the advantages at the very beginning when we were first starting out, we had the other person's support. And I mean, starting out, we also had a family starting out at the same time. And I also do feel like over the years, we've kind of determined what each one brings as their strong points and their strengths. So yeah, it's been really good. I think we complement each other.
So working together as a couple, and I know you have children, how does working together impact that work-life balance?
Over time, it's actually improved a lot, I think, because we're established and things are running pretty smoothly, so we're able to keep work at work, and our home life is our home life, and we're able to separate those a lot more. And you have, as you were kind of talking about, this flexibility that you have when you have this co-ownership of the business. We can schedule our vacations when we want to. We can schedule the hours that we want to work and things like that.
How many people work here in the business?
We have a massage therapist who's on salary now as well, the two of us. We have another naturopathic doctor who's not on salary, so she's just kind of an associate. And then we have two receptionists.
Who would you say is your main clientele? Who generally is the person who walks through the door and uses your services?
Initially, we had patients, our clients would have been moms, grandmothers, women between the ages of, let's say, even 30 and probably 60. But over time, we're seeing a big change. We're seeing a lot of people bringing in, or we're seeing clients are younger and younger, a lot of teenagers, especially dealing right now with mental health issues. So we're getting a lot of those, and then we're also getting patients sort of in the geriatric group, I guess.
Well, and many New Brunswickers don't have a family doctor right now.
We are actually, I've had a few people recently talk to, basically express to me that you're my primary healthcare provider right now. And that certainly wasn't the case when we started. It would be very unusual, but it's becoming more common. I'm not saying it's a great situation. We like to work hand in hand with medical professionals, but there are more people that are looking to us for that. I'd also say we see a lot more male patients than ever before.
Yes, that's true.
What about referrals? Do you have other health type practitioners sending people your way? Tell me about that.
Over the past maybe 5-6 years, perhaps, there have been some referrals even from medical doctors, sometimes specialists. Not as often as we would like to see, but it's starting to change.
It's going to get you to cross your arms, I'll listen to your lungs from the back.
When you think about how you find your clients, how do you get your message to them? How do you make sure that they know that you're here and that you're able to help them?
First of all, I think our biggest clientele comes from word of mouth, people that have had good experiences, telling their friends and family. That's always been there, I guess, but just that builds over time. The longer you're in practice, the more the word spreads. We're obviously made a shift to social media. We have a website that I think helps draw a lot of people in as well. Parissa still does give talks.
We have gotten someone who's actually taking care of our social media as well. So that is something that has been new over the past few years, just because it does involve a fair bit of work and time.
Here on display in front of us, you have some supplements. Tell me about that side of your business.
So we have a small dispensary, and it's nothing very extensive, and it's very specific to what our clients would need. So we wouldn't necessarily sell it to anyone coming off the street. We'll often get patients calling, or individuals, I guess, from the community calling and saying, do you carry such and such a thing? And we have to be a little bit sort of strict with that.
In general, I guess you'd say there's like nutritional supplements, which are mostly vitamins and minerals, and combinations of those, like some of the things you see here. Then we use a lot of herbal or plant-based medicines as well. And then we also have some homeopathic formulas. We have some traditional Asian herbal medicines.
So when you think about your competition, who would you think of as your competition, and do you worry about that very much?
Yes, there was definitely concern about competition. As we've also developed a clientele and trust and so on, I feel like that's not so much an issue, and we actually do welcome new naturopathic doctors because we feel like if they have the proper training and they're here to do that, it boosts naturopathic medicine overall, you know, in the province, in the city, and so on. There are individuals that call themselves naturopathic doctors and who bill under naturopathic medicine, but who don't have the training. There are a lot of people who are out there who will sign in under ND, who may have had a few weekend courses in Quebec or have had a 500-hour course in somewhere and are able to bill under naturopathic medicine. And yeah, there's a few issues. So that would be the main competition that we would be worried about. Not so much even that it would be a financial issue. If something does go wrong, the whole profession is then affected by it.
Is that a unique challenge here in New Brunswick, that they don't require the same type of certification, or is that a broader problem?
There are several provinces where we're not regulated. The majority of provinces in Canada now it is regulated. So it is an issue that is, I won't say unique to New Brunswick, but does exist here and a few other, mostly the smaller provinces, I guess, where you have the larger centers, larger cities, and larger populations. There's greater awareness of naturopathic medicine, and therefore they do tend to move towards regulation more quickly than the smaller provinces in general.
Tell me about your growth trajectory. What do you see? What's next for the Fredericton Naturopathic Clinic?
I think it's more us as individual practitioners expanding the services that we offer. So for example, myself, I've recently been looking into options to offer another type of testing to our patients, which would be a type of genetic testing. So we can go beyond just looking at symptoms and health histories, but actually what do your genes tell us about your health, the likelihood of developing conditions, or even how you metabolize different nutrients. Maybe you have more trouble with, say, B vitamins or omega-3, essential fatty acids. So then we could modify a treatment plan around what your genes tell us as well as your symptoms. So that's something that I'm kind of excited about. We're just on the fringes of introducing that.
I think for me, for the past few years, I've been looking at doing more corporate wellness and having workshops. And I feel like with COVID and everything else that has happened over the past 2 years, and some of the issues that patients are coming to me, and I'm seeing sort of a pattern, I feel like it is definitely something that can be taken into corporations and say, would you like to have a program set up for helping you with resilience or for preventing burnout? I'm really hoping to kind of get into that a little bit more.
If you were thinking about the past 19 or almost 20 years in business, what would you say is your biggest success?
The fact that we're still here and that our business has grown year after year, really, that's a pretty big success and a big accomplishment. We take a lot of satisfaction, I guess, when we help individuals that have serious health issues on a day-to-day basis, and there's successes, all along the way when you can see yourself making that kind of a difference in someone's life. So there's that level of success as well.
We like to say that we're probably the longest naturopathic clinic in Fredericton, that's still functioning, and I think it really comes back to having built that trust in the community.
What's your favorite part of running the business?
I love meeting people. I love learning their stories and to see them sort of progressing and seeing how they're learning to take ownership of things, and especially when it comes to their health.
So tell me how COVID impacted your business.
A lot of anxiety about, what the future would hold when this is our main source of income, obviously, and when that's put on hold indefinitely, then you don't know what it's going to look like. So there was a lot of questions. I have to say the Chamber was really helpful at the beginning. Thank God for the Chamber in terms of helping us answer the question, know what to expect, help us find alternative sources of income, things like that. So that definitely helped a lot. But interestingly for us, once we were able to open our doors again, I think we were actually busier than ever. We did open, with precautions in place, fairly quickly. Like many of the medical doctors were still just doing phone visits, and we were having people in person. We were able to do hands-on, physical exams and have those face-to-face conversations. at a time when, as you said, people were struggling with, well, stress of everything that was going on, a lot of mental health issues, and then also some disillusionment with the way the medical system was working, really drove people to our clinic.
We've talked about your successes, we've talked about what you like best. Have you ever had any failures in the business?
I think the mistake, or what we would maybe have done differently, was just if someone had told us, you need to really think about marketing and branding yourself and getting the word out there, more than just talking about what naturopathic medicine is, but what is your clinic and what do you offer and how can you make a difference? Like I said, we were about 10 years into it before we got that message, or at least we understood it and put it into practice.
You mentioned that the Chamber helped you during COVID, but I'm sure that there are other associations or groups or organizations that have helped you over the years. Tell me a little bit about that.
The Women in Business, for example, that was sort of a key thing for me at the very beginning, to sort of do some networking. I felt like that was really important. CBDC, we had applied for a grant to kind of get an accountant, like a chartered accountant, to actually help us set up our accounting system and so on. So I would say that that was really a good thing earlier on. When I participated, I became a board member on the Canadian Naturopathic Association. I felt like that was a huge, huge help for us as well. And I think that that's when my eyes were open in terms of, oh my goodness, business-wise, we're really quite behind compared to what's happening across the country. And I learned a lot.
So when you think about pushing the business forward or the industry, what would you like to see happen here in the province of New Brunswick that would help your industry to grow?
We don't have regulation in the province. There's immediate, concrete aspects to that, but then there's also more subtle aspects of acknowledging that this is a legitimate healthcare profession, right? If people, there are still people that check, or they ask, are you regulated? And if you say you're not a regulated healthcare profession, then they're wondering why. You're not legitimate, you're not on par with the chiropractors, the acupuncturists, the medical doctors. So there's that. There's income tax implications for healthcare expenses when you have a regulated healthcare profession versus when you don't. So it's to the patient's benefit if we're regulated. And that would also, there's some people that make their choices very much based on finances, and if they can claim income tax or not, that might impact whether or not they seek your services.
When you think about the economy or opportunities for businesses like yours in this province, what do you think? Is there a good opportunity?
If you think about the lack of medical doctors right now, and the fact that naturopathic doctors are trained in doing sort of basic diagnostics and so on and so forth, I definitely feel like there's room for more naturopathic doctors in the province. Definitely there's opportunities, or there are opportunities for naturopathic medicine to grow, for sure.
Welcome back to Business Insight Fredericton. I'm Krista Ross, CEO of the Fredericton Chamber of Commerce, and today we're talking to Doctors Parissa and Judah Bunin at the Fredericton Naturopathic Clinic. Often when we are running a business, and whether you think of the naturopath business or a business in general, we get advice. Mm-hmm. What's the best advice that you've been given in running your business?
There's a couple of pieces to it. One is the idea of having a brand, like helping people to associate your name with the image that you're trying to portray, and that being kind of a consistent message in all of your advertising, to kind of make it really simple for people to, when they think, oh, I don't feel well, and I should get some advice, that your name, your brand pops up. So that was one aspect. And the other was, I talked about before, we were always focusing on, if we just tell people what naturopathic medicine is, and they appreciate how wonderful it is, then they'll flock to see us. But the advice was, don't so much focus on naturopathic medicine, focus on what you do and what you offer, and be very specific about like the conditions that you work with, so that people again can relate to it, because they may never click with naturopathic medicine, but they have to click with you as practitioners and business owners. So I felt that was really helpful.
So if you were going to give advice to someone that was starting out in a business, any business, what advice would you give?
I would say, for sure, get on with those marketing tools right away. Absolutely. We got into the whole branding thing in 2013, which was 10 years after
10
we had
years
started.
in.
I mean, really, when you think about it.
I
So
think that was actually the first time we really were told to kind of recommended to do a business plan.
yeah,
So that would be some advice that I would
yes,
suggest.
right off the bat,
Think
for
about
sure.
a business plan right at the beginning and follow your plan through.
Yeah, and the other thing too that is to really sort of be up to date in terms of new research, new things that are out there, and listen to your patients, listen to your clients, see how things are, like, so things that we would have done probably 20 years ago in practice today might not be that relevant, today wouldn't be relevant. You would have to sort of modify things, and again, just really cater to what the needs of today are. I would say that would be sort of an important thing for a new graduate as well, to kind of realize that every 5 years they might have to sort of review everything they're doing, and what needs to be tweaked and so on. So
I would think too, because everybody is Googling everything these days. If you're not on top of the most current information, your clients, your patients could come in and say, what about this?
Yep. And that happens all the time.
And you want to know, right? You want to be able to
absolutely.
answer their questions.
Absolutely. Yeah.
To be a lifelong learner, for sure.
So what do you see is next in the business? Where do you see the business in a year, or maybe in 3 years, or even in 5 years?
Well, we see it's still here.
We like the space.
I think we like the space. We like to stay here. I think we would like to see more of what Judah had mentioned, like sort of incorporating a few more tools, providing a few more tools. And same with me. I think as far as I'm concerned, I would really like to sort of be more out in the community with the the workshops and things like that I want to get started. So that would be probably a year or 3 year, I guess, goal, I suppose.
Well, I know that we've talked about it, and you've been interested in doing more online type of work as well, and maybe preparing workshops or courses from an online perspective, which kind of, it's neat because it takes you out of your physical limitations of your space, and the market is literally global in that situation, so there's some opportunities for things along those lines too.
So what would you like to tell me or add to what we've talked about that maybe I haven't asked you about? Have I missed anything important?
I think, I think the point about regulation is something that, we really want to kind of get across. I think the other thing would be that if patients or clients or, community members are looking to get naturopathic care, that they should really do their research and figure out who they're going to and what the background is, and, that sort of thing.
So in many other provinces, best practice would tell us that it is a regulated industry, and the people who are practitioners, like yourselves, have gone to school for a minimum of 7, possibly 8 or more years to become doctors of naturopathic medicine.
Correct.
So if somebody's looking for someone to
That's
see,
right.
that's what they should be looking for. And hopefully, sometime in the near future, we may be able to have regulation like that here in our province as well.
We hope so.
And in the meantime, I should mention that there is a provincial association, the New Brunswick Association of Naturopathic Doctors, and in order to be a member of that association, a person has to have the education and pass those board exams that you were just talking about. So rather than individuals saying, look up every individual, what was their education and so on, you can simply go to the New Brunswick Association of Naturopathic Doctors website. If the name is there, you're covered, and you can at least have that confidence.
Thank you very much for spending time with me today. This was really interesting, and really appreciate learning more about your clinic.
Our pleasure.
Thank you, and we appreciate this as well. Just again, it's so important to educate the public. I feel like this would be a fantastic opportunity, so thank you so much.
We're always looking for great companies with a unique story to feature on the show. If you have suggestions, please get in touch with us.